understand what it means to be born different. They think it's power. They think it's glory. But when a man is born with a king's soul, it's not a gift. It's a curse. Because from your first breath, the world turns against you. Not with fists, but with expectation, with silence, with isolation. They see something in your eyes, and instead of honoring it, they fear it. You don't get the warmth of normal life. You don't get safety. You don't get softness. You get weight. You get burden. You get the unspoken rule. Lead or die under the pressure. You weren't taught peace. You were thrown into storms. And the only way out was through fire, through betrayal, through becoming something so brutal, even your past self wouldn't recognize you. Others beg for approval. You were born to walk alone, because every room you step into, your presence unsettles the weak. Your silence makes the loud uncomfortable. Your intensity exposes their softness. You didn't choose that. It chose you. That's what a king's soul does. It divides. It separates. It marks you, not for celebration, but for war. They think you're arrogant, but you're just focused. They call you cold, but you've seen too much to smile. You don't belong in their circles. You don't belong in their lives, because you weren't born to be liked. You were born to carry kingdoms on bones built from pain. The deeper your power grows, the quieter your world becomes. That's the rule no one talks about, because the king's soul isn't loud. It's not social. It doesn't beg for company. It devours solitude, because nothing else can hold it. You start to notice the shift. People laugh less around you. They shrink in your presence. They stop asking questions, not because you're mean, but because your energy makes their weakness unbearable. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. You didn't choose this. But once the soul rises, everything else must fall away. Friendships fade. Family doesn't understand. Love becomes a battlefield. Not because you broke it, but because no one's ready to walk next to a man who carries this kind of gravity. People say, "You've changed." No. You're distant. No. You're just walking further than they were ever willing to. And distance is the tax of forward motion. The king's soul doesn't belong in crowds. It was made to sit in the middle of storms and not flinch. That kind of presence, it's heavy. You'll sit at tables and feel disconnected. You'll look at your surroundings and feel like you outgrew them years ago. And it'll hurt. But pain doesn't stop you anymore. It confirms you're still becoming. Power isolates, strength separates, and the soul of a king is forged in rooms so quiet you can hear the weight of your own breath. That silence isn't punishment. It's your palace, the place where your thoughts turn into weapons, where your values turn to laws, where your purpose turns into command. Don't fill the silence. Don't run back to noise. Don't explain your distance, because the man born with a king's soul must first learn how to rule himself before he's worthy of anything beyond. A king is not calm. He is composed. There's a difference. Calm is soft. Composed is controlled violence. And deep inside every man with a king's soul is a rage that no one sees, until it's time to burn everything down. You didn't choose this anger. It came with the birthright. A lifetime of silence, of being misunderstood, of being underestimated, of being expected to carry everything and complain about nothing. It piles up. Pressure, pain, weight, until it no longer crushes you. It builds you. That rage becomes your foundation, not the kind that explodes, not the kind that cries for attention, The kind that moves like a blade in the dark. No warning, no sympathy. You start working in ways they don't understand. You suffer in ways they couldn't survive. You create without asking for feedback, and you destroy anything that dares to slow you down. You don't yell, you deliver, you don't threaten, you execute. Because the rage in a man born to rule isn't loud, it's deadly. It doesn't show up on the surface. It buries itself in discipline, in sleepless nights, in 10,000 decisions no one applauds. And when they ask, why do you work like this? Why do you train like this? Why are you so cold? You don't answer, because the soul of a king doesn't explain fire to people who are still scared of heat. You're not angry at the world. You're just done playing by its rules. You've watched enough weakness. You've heard enough excuses. You've been patient with people who never deserved your time. Now, you build, you rule, you strike, and you take everything the boy version of you was too soft to claim. This rage isn't your enemy. It's your architect. The throne isn't carved by calm hands. It's shaped in war. And you are the war. There comes a moment in every man's life when he looks around and finally understands no one is coming. No one's going to save him. No one's going to help him carry it. No one's going to rescue the crown from the mud. And in that moment, the king is born, not by blood, not by blessing, but by decision. A decision made in pure, cold isolation, when every voice disappears, when every hand vanishes, when every hope of help is gone, and you're left standing in a burning kingdom with nothing but your fists and your rage. Most men crumble there. They beg, they plead, they make deals with weakness. But not you, because a king doesn't ask for mercy. He becomes the judge. You didn't come from peace. You crawled out of war, betrayed, abandoned, ignored, and still, you rise. Not because you were chosen, but because you were willing to bleed for a life that everyone else gave up on. You didn't wait. You didn't wish. You didn't weep. You ruled. The law of kings is brutal. No one owes you anything. No one's obligated to understand you, and no one is responsible for your survival. You carry your weight. You bury your dead. You sharpen your will on rejection, on failure, on hunger. And you walk alone until others are forced to follow. Not out of loyalty, but out of fear. Because real kings don't lead with charm. They lead with consequence. They don't beg for followers. They move forward until footsteps form behind them. And when they speak, it's not to be liked. It's to issue orders that reshape reality. You think someone's coming to show you how to lead? To give you the tools? To build your crown? Forget it. If you want the throne, you build it out of the bones of every weakness you ever fed. This is your law now. This is your burden. This is your right. Stand on it, or stay buried beneath it. This throne wasn't handed down. It wasn't inherited. It wasn't given through favor, blessing, or bloodline. It was carved from agony, shaped in isolation, forged in hell, and sealed with every ounce of pain the world swore would break you. But it didn't, because kings aren't crowned by applause. They are born in silence and built through scars. You weren't supposed to make it here. They counted you out, ignored your grind, laughed at your silence. And now, they don't laugh anymore. They whisper, because what you've become isn't human to them. You don't cry. You don't flinch. You don't crack. You absorb the hits. You welcome the weight. You rule in pain like most men drown in it. Every scar, a lesson. Every betrayal, a boundary. Every failure, a new weapon. This isn't just a soul, it's a fortress. One built in nights they never saw, mornings they slept through, battles they never knew you fought. And now, you sit alone. Not because you chose to, but because no one else could survive the climb. They think the throne is gold. They think it's glory. It's not. It's bone. It's blood. It's the remains of the boy you buried and the weight of every standard you never dropped. You didn't rise by chance. You didn't become this by dreaming. You became it by burning. And when you sit on the throne, you sit in silence. Not because you have nothing to say, but because there's no one left to speak to. This isn't power. It's discipline weaponized. It's rage tamed. It's the final form of a man who suffered so long pain became peace. And from that peace, he built the kingdom. So wear the crown, with no pride, with no joy, just stillness. Because the man with a king's soul doesn't celebrate. He watches, he protects, he enforces. And when the world forgets what it took to build the throne, he reminds them, without ever speaking a word, the king is not made, the king is revealed, in silence, in blood, in the shadow of everything that tried to kill him.